10 celebrities who went to jail in 2018. Michael Sorrentino. This Jersey Shore star is probably more known as The Situation and was on the show from 2009 to 2012. You can also see him doing his thing in Jersey Shore Family Vacation. Mike went to shake a leg at season 11 of Dancing with the Stars and while partnered with Karina Smirnoff failed to make it past the 4th week. Mike Sorrentino at one time was the second best earning TV personality on the planet, just beneath Kim Kardashian. Unfortunately, paying taxes on what he made was something he was not very eager to do. In September of 2014, he got into trouble with the feds, who charged him with tax fraud, and in April of 2017 added more charges to what they were threatening him with. To smooth over the situation, Mike Sorrentino agreed to a plea bargain, and in January of 2018, he pled guilty to a single tax evasion charge. He was sentenced to 8 months in jail in October of 2018, ordered to devote 500 hours of his time to community service, and fined nearly $140,000. He's also placed on 2 years probation, unlike the celebrity at the end of this video, Orlando Brown. Orlando Brown has starred in Major Payne in 1995 and Straight Outta Compton in 2015, as well as TV shows like Family Matters and That's So Raven. Brown was arrested in late February of 2016 on a long list of charges, most of which had to do with possession and selling drugs and assault. He made bail and then failed to show up in court. Police got a hold of him on January 18th, 2018, when they got a call to a Californian residence on a domestic disturbance complaint. Brown was arrested and charged with crimes like drug possession, resisting arrest, and domestic battery. When he made bail for this, he again failed to show up for his assigned court date. Bounty hunters eventually apprehended him in Las Vegas on April 13th of 2018. On June 15th of 2018, police in Las Vegas arrested Orlando Brown and found illegal drugs on him. He was charged for this and with resisting arrest. Then on September 2nd, 2018, he got arrested again for trying to break into a restaurant owned by a childhood friend. For this, he was given a 45-day jail sentence, along with a separate 15-day sentence for his June arrest. Wow, I'm gobsmacked. 2018 must not have been Orlando's year. Suge Knight. Well, we have so far only mentioned fellas who spent a few days in jail in 2018 at the most. Suge Knight is a whole different case and was in the year 2018 sentenced to nearly 3 decades in the slammer. The former rap mogul used to be at the helm of Death Row Records and helped introduce us to some of the most iconic artists to ever walk the earth. He eventually went broke, lost Death Row, and acquired a reputation as a petty, vengeful, and brutal fella. In 2015, Suge Knight drove by the Straight Outta Compton film set and decided to run over a couple of guys, an incident that ended fatally for one of them and severely for the other. He initially claimed to have acted in self-defense, but later pled guilty to voluntary manslaughter to avoid facing murder and attempted murder charges. Normally, voluntary slaughter charges get the perp a maximum of 11 years in the slammer, but Suge Knight was tried in California. And due to his past criminal activities subject to its 3 strikes law, his parole eligibility is in 2037. David Henry. David Henry here is an actor and a director. He's been in How I Met Your Mother, Wizards of Waverly Place, and Grown Ups 2. TSA officials looked into his baggage on September 10, 2018, saw something that should not have been there, and notified the cops, who came and arrested him. This arrest went down at Los Angeles International Airport, with David Henry being charged with having a loaded firearm in his possession and booked into LAPD Pacific Division Jail. He went on to Twitter to announce that it was all a mistake, that the gun had been acquired via legal means, and was in his possession by accident on the day of his arrest, while thanking the officials involved in the situation for their professionalism. Later in September of 2018, David signed on for a plea bargain and in November of 2018 got a 2-year suspended sentence. Additionally, he was fined, obliged to go for a gun safety course, and given a 20-day community service. Offset. Offset went to jail in 2018, but only for a day. Lucky him. The famous rapper and songwriter whose hits to superstar Cardi B has Kiari Kendall Cephas written down as his birth name and first commanded global attention as a member of the group Migos with the release of Bad and Bougie from the Young Rich Nation album. Offset is also found famous as a solo artist and has been putting some serious hits out there, both solo and with other artists that are not part of Migos. Trouble seems to like him though, and in 2018 he was pulled over in Georgia for making an illegal lane change. Officials then searched his 2014 Porsche Carrera and stumbled across 3 guns, over 100,000 smackaroos, and some grass. For that, he was arrested and charged with drug possession, having a gun while committing a crime, and having a gun while being a felon, and making an improper lane change. For that, he only spent a night in jail and was released the day after his arrest. All charges arising from his arrest were later dropped. Adam Hicks. Adam Hicks is most known as a Disney star and was in Zeke and Luther. He was also in Jonas and Pair of Kings. And apart from being an actor, makes or used to make a living as a singer, rapper, and songwriter and is currently contracted to Walt Disney Records. On January 25th, 2018, Hicks, as well as a girlfriend and actress by the name of Danny Tamburo, were arrested in Burbank, California on armed robbery charges. The duo were going around and forcibly demanding money from people. The police took a dim view of these antics and hauled them off to jail. Both got stuck in jail as they were unable to pay the hefty bail that was being asked for, though Danny was later able to make bail, leaving poor Hicks behind. Hicks went through a mental health evaluation as his lawyer thought the actor might be having some issues with his brain matter, and in July 2019 he pled not guilty to what he was charged for. Adam Hicks faces a maximum of 60 years in the slammer if found guilty. Trevor Davis. This NFL player only spent an hour or so in jail, but still deserves a mention. Trevor Lee Davis earns a living in the NFL as a wide receiver and has been on the payroll of teams like the Green Bay Packers, Miami Dolphins, Oakland Raiders, and the Chicago Bears. On April 8th, 2018, Davis chose to make a joke that would land him in trouble. While at the Hawaiian Airlines counter at Los Angeles International Airport with a friend, the ticket agent asked Davis if he had any unapproved items like explosives, guns, and knives on his possession. Davis, rather than directly answering the question, turned to his friend and said something like, "Yeah, did you pack the explosives?" This triggered a panic, with people scampering for safety. Davis, though, was subsequently arrested for making bomb threats and booked into a Los Angeles jail. Bail was set at $15,000, and he paid this within an hour of his arrest. It's understood that charges arising from this whole situation have been dismissed, and that Davis has been made to see the error of his ways. Brandon Browner. Browner was in the NFL and earned his keep as a quarterback for teams like the Seattle Seahawks and the New England Patriots. The guy had some chops and is one of the few fellas to ever win consecutive Super Bowl trophies with different teams. The first with the Seattle Seahawks in 2013 and the second, the New England Patriots in 2014. Now, in July of 2018, the police picked up Browner for illegally entering the home of a lady he had once had a thing for and taking a Rolex from her. A couple days later, they threw attempted murder, willful child endangerment, robbery, burglary, and false imprisonment charges his way. Browner pled no contest to attempted murder, plus 2 counts of willful child endangerment, and this, in return, made the state drop the other charges against him. He was on December 4th, 2018, given an 8-year sentence and is serving this at San Quentin State Prison. 6'9". Daniel Hernandez, otherwise known as Tekashi 6'9", or 6'9", is an American singer and songwriter who gives the word controversy an all-new meaning. The Brooklyn native broke out into the mainstream during the latter part of 2017 with the release of Gummo and later the Day 6'9" mixtape in 2018. 6'9" gets into trouble on a regular basis. In 2018, he assaulted an underage kid for filming him without permission and then outdid himself by getting arrested on weapons, racketeering, and drug charges, with the maximum penalty for all of this being life in the slammer. He was held in jail without bail and eventually entered a plea bargain arrangement with the authorities that involved his pleading guilty on 9 charges and testifying on the prosecution against his fellow 9 Trey Gangster Bloods members. The tattooed rapper got 2 years in prison, but wrangled an early release on account of the COVID-19 pandemic. Folks call 6'9" a snitch, but that has not stopped him from shooting out hit after hit. Bill Cosby. Bill Cosby is easily the biggest and most high-profile jailbird on this list. In September of 2018, he was given a 3 to 10-year jail sentence for acting in a very ungentlemanly way with a Canadian lady back in 2004. Once known as America's dad and admired far and wide for his sublime comedy talents, Cosby's legacy has been tarnished beyond recovery and will now be remembered as someone who had it all and threw it away for no just cause. The star of the Bill Cosby Show stands credibly accused of indecently forcing himself on women. Unfortunately, charges of these could not be brought against Cosby as the statute of limitations on most of what he was accused for had expired. Eventually, the authorities were able to nail him for a recent act of similar nature and threw him in jail. Bill Cosby has shown no remorse, still faces more civil lawsuits than he can shake stick at, and currently calls SCI Phoenix home. Click on the playlist to the left to binge watch celebrities and famous people who've gone to prison over the years. We'll see you there.